with our ancestors. But they put our people through a process. We had our own language. We had our own culture. We had our own rites of passage. No black boy in Africa ever wondered what he would do when he got older, because he had a group of men in his family that were all fishermen. He was going to be a fisherman. Or they were all architects. He was going to be an architect. Every young girl was going to know how to be a wife and a mother, because the women in her community taught her that. She learned that every day of her life till she got to the point where she was ready. Nobody wondered what they were doing in life, because we had a system designed to maximize each of us, but more importantly, all of us as a collective. What's good for the group supersedes what's good for any individual. The Europeans came to Africa and destroyed them. They came in, turned brother against brother, got us killing and fighting each other in their interest, put us in slave dungeons, half-fed us, making sure that we didn't have anything to eat so that we became weak. They made us naked. We had to urinate and defecate on ourselves. They had the babies, the women, the children. Then they would take us on these boats, because they had a journey for us to go on. And when we got there, the first ship that they put us on was called the Good Ship Jesus. And when we got on this boat, they would have a Catholic priest standing there to say, "Welcome aboard. You're going on a journey to a new life. And we have a new God for you. His name is Jesus Christ. And I am his representative. And your job from this point forward is to be a slave." And I say to everybody, we should imagine and see what our people went through, because if they went through it for us to get here, we got to understand who we are as a result of what? They murdered and brutalized, because the objective was not just to physically brutalize us, but they were trying to kill what was inside of us. Our knowledge of our history, our culture, our self-respect, our decency. So they tied us up. They tied the women up. They tied the men up. They raped the women. And the men have to listen to their women being raped all day, all night long. Listen to their children being raped and murdered all night long. Even the women had to listen to the sounds of their men being raped and helpless, tied together at their arms and legs with the European homosexual deviants and enslavers, which all of the slave ships were captained by homosexuals and pedophiles. So none of our people got away from this. Even if they didn't suffer it physically, they were right next to the person who did. And they had to hear it and see it for 3 months directly. Day in and day out. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The rape and torture and brutality of our people. And this was only the beginning of this journey. Because the idea was to break that African who knew their identity, who had self-respect, and who would always believe we would be free. And during this process, they killed millions of our people. And when they killed us, there was no proper burial. They would force us to just take our brothers and sisters and children and just toss them overboard. They tossed so many people of our people into the Atlantic Ocean that the Atlantic shark stopped hunting for food. I want you to hear this. They smelled the slave ships. They stopped hunting for food in the ocean, and they began following the slave ships. To this day, the Atlantic sharks still migrate in the same patterns of the Atlantic slave ship and the Atlantic slave trade. That's how many hundreds of years they got used to how they were going to eat. They still follow those same patterns this very moment. Some of our people were revolutionary and said, before you take me into this hell you have for me, I'll jump overboard. Some of our people jumped overboard 20 at a time. But every step of this process, we fought back. I want you to understand. And so what they knew is that they had to break this fighting spirit. And they would take a man and he would say, I'm God. I'll never surrender. He said, no, I have a new identity for you. You're a nigger. And your mothers and your daughters and your children. And that's your new identity. And we can't count the number of African people who said, I will not accept that identity. Who had their backs ripped out of the skin ripped off their backs because they said, I will not accept no new identity. I know I'm Ashanti. I know I'm God. I know I'm Fulani. I know I'm Zulu. We knew who we were. But they said, no, for me to do what I have to do to you, I have to strip your self-respect and give you a new identity. I'm going to make you call yourself this new identity, which means you have no value, and I have a right to do anything I want to do to you. And then they make us internalize this, call ourselves by the name they create to demean ourselves so that we are then open for abuse. But our people were revolutionary. Some brothers didn't want to eat because they said, I'd rather starve myself to death. And they would bang the teeth out of our brothers and shove a muzzle in and feed them pig slop. Why? They would do this because they had a second part of this voyage. It wasn't just about physically taking us. They didn't want us to physically die. There was something else they wanted from us. And at no point in this process, even to this very moment, did we ever stop fighting. Right now, this is a fight. It's a war. We never stop fighting. Some of us got so rebellious, they knew they were going to lose the ship if they didn't do something. So they always had it prepared where they had huge rocks, and they put them in nets and weighted them down. And then they would tie 30, 40, or 50 of our people together and just say, we're going to have to get rid of half of the ship in order to save this journey. And they would drop those rocks into the Atlantic Ocean. And if the sharks were hungry, before our bodies hit the water, they were jumping on it and feasting on the bodies of our ancestors. But, you know, sometimes they were full. And if they were full, then our ancestors would just sink into the abyss of the Atlantic Ocean. They say that to some degree, the ocean is less explored than space. So we know that the Atlantic Ocean has the DNA of our ancestors in it. But I want you to understand, that wasn't the end of the journey. Part 2 of the journey is, now we have to take away all your self-respect. Now you have grown black men who have no ability to protect themselves. Now they rubbing grease on us like we do our Cadillacs to get it nice and shined up for the market. Because they taking us to the market where they're going to sell our ancestors, where these freakish Europeans going to come and purchase us.